Hey guys, Chef Tony here. I'm going to do a quick rundown of the build I started the league with. It's Badger's Lancing Steel build, Deadeye. I'm gonna try and do this. I might try and do a couple builds a league. This current build, basically, I'm just dropping red maps, so it's your basic league start into endgame yellow maps on a fairly low budget. Um, So let's just jump right into it. Leveling process was pretty smooth. You actually start off with splitting steel. Um, does start to feel a little. It started to feel a little shaky around level 40. Now I was just using a crafted 4 link up until then, as far as my weapon goes. I believe around level 40, I just picked up a 5 link, whatever unique for an alchemy. And at 51, I was able to buy a 5 link terminus. I think it cost a chaos or something along those lines at league start, which I'm sure it's much cheaper now. I am currently still running on a 5 link. I'm missing a big gem. I'm not using main. I'm using chain, which you can swap in and out depending on what feels good. Chain, Pierce, or LMP, and I've kind of been messing around with it. Um, Vicious projectiles, lancing steel. I picked up one that already had 16 quality, and then impale. You can see my gems are not max level. They're not max quality. Um, the other setups, I have a ancestral protector totem with multiple totems. The sniper's mark, very important. I didn't even slide this totem in until I was partially through my white maps already. As far as gear goes, basically there is roughly, depending on the market, it's about 70 KS on this build. Basically the big item is the Nomad studded belt. You can feel the difference when you equip this. It's definitely worth it. Um, your amulet you can grab incredibly cheap. It's very good. I just have on very simple steel ring, iron ring, fizz damage, life, res, very, very basic stuff. I just grabbed a chest armor with tons of life, reses, just kind of make gearing easier. Um, this helm, I just bought the base that had the lancing steel damage. I don't believe that's actually going to be the best enchant for this build, but it was relatively cheap. I think the base was 3 gold. And then I just hit it with a couple harvest life crafts and got that. It's very basic. My boots are pretty trash, as you can see. They just have life and a bunch of res to make gearing easier. I'm way over res cap. Um, and then these gloves were big. Around maybe tier 6 or 7, I started to notice you feel a little squishy. Um, so, and I was also running out of mana occasionally. So this physical attack damage, leases life, and mana was a pretty big upgrade for me. These were not that expensive. I think they were 30k odds. Which everything was dropped just leveling um, at league start. I don't play a ton. I'm a father of 4, so I kind of wanted to make these guides to, you see a lot of these guides, these builds, they're like 10 million DPS, super low budget, incredibly simple, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna kind of pick some of these more popular builds. I know this isn't the most popular one, but it's one I'm currently doing. Um, just kind of give them a review for like an average player, like player that plays 2, 3 hours, 4 or 5 days a week, something like that, a normal person. The anointment on this, I just kind of picked a random one that I thought would be decent. The reason I'm doing this now is because I'm about to transition this build. I'm going to put a little more investment into it. I'll probably put about, I don't know, 8x into it because that's kind of my current budget right now. Not crazy, um, but that is crazy for some people. Um, and I'm assuming that that's going to get me into tier 13s, 14s pretty safely. As far as my
Yes.
tree goes, basically I just filed Badger's guide, which I'm going to link all that stuff. I'll link to his channel and his YouTube guide, as well as his PoE Ninja. Um, so basically, I just filed his tree, and I'm starting to branch off here. I'm gonna couple more levels, I'm going to go into a cluster jewel and mess around with that a little bit as I invest and craft some higher end gear. When I finish that, I'll do another review of it. As far as leveling goes, super smooth, very fast. I think it could be solo self-farm hardcore viable if you played a little safer. I didn't die while leveling, um, but it's definitely not like your top build. It is an evasion build, so you're always taking a risk there. I'm just gonna run a quick tier 6, just kind of show you what's going on, and we'll talk a little bit more. Now the way this build works, and it's kind of strange, is you are refreshing your steel shards, which with any steel skill you get Call of Steel. So once you attack, you'll see those steel shards go down. The more steel shards, the more damage. So basically what I've been doing is attacking 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then I wait for that to refresh. While you're waiting for that to refresh, you can drop your totem, you can use your sniper's mark if you need to, but you really won't need to do that. I'm starting at tier 10s and tier 11s. I am running into basically the bosses and the conquerors are taking a little longer. Still not a problem, still very doable, but it's definitely not a speedy build currently in its current state around those maps. So just show you the clear speed is pretty strong. The bossing is pretty decent as well. I use Leap Slam. You can also use Whirling Blades with Fortify. As you can see, it clears. It's pretty good. No problems there. There are a couple mobs that'll give you a hard time. I'm having a really hard time with Legion mobs for some reason right now. They just must have a ton of health or something. That's really the only mechanic that's kind of gives me a rough time. Basically, and if it doesn't kill me, it just it takes me longer to go through that. Quick this ritual here. I'm just gonna breeze through this map super quick because I just want to show you the gameplay. And so basically, the more steel shards you have, the more projectiles are released. So you want to have more and more. The damage without it is not horrendous. This isn't a crazy map by any means. It's a pretty normal out and go map. You cannot run Fizzreflect. Now, depending on whatever means of regain you choose, I went with Leech. I believe that is what Badger recommends. You could also run with in the beginning, before I got those Leech gloves, I just tossed a mana flask on. That's fine. You just kind of have to watch your mana mods. As far as now, I am using Chain here. I haven't had any problem with lag using Chain, but I know that is a problem for some people. So if that is the case, it also feels really good with Pierce. I didn't particularly enjoy it with LMP, not quite yet. I think LMP is going to feel great as soon as I make some small upgrades here. I probably won't be converting to his recommended endgame yet because Savior is 11 adults and that's basically over my entire budget currently. So I'm going to do basically a mid-game, do an early game here, I'll do a mid-game transition. You guys enjoy this, I'll do a guide on the mid-game transition, and then I will convert to basically Badger's full endgame. Now as far as bosses goes, you apply Sniper's Mark, you refresh your charges, you can drop your Ancestral Protector, it's also pretty quickly. Really you could also just sit here and spam and you'll be fine as well. So that's basically that, guys. If you have any questions or comments, I don't want to make this too long. This isn't a build guide, this is a build guide review. Feel free to leave them in the YouTube comments and I will do what I can to answer those questions. So, thanks for checking me out. I appreciate it. Catch you on the next one.